Hey, what's up? I promised every Tuesday we're gonna do the new show. Maybe some random ones here and there depending on what's going on. But I'm gonna try to fit to a formula of every Tuesday to recap everything that's going on. So, right now we're on the summer hiatus. A lot of the great DC shows shut down. Okay, Netflix, we've already been through Daredevil Season 2. They're working on other stuff. We're pretty quiet when it comes to that. We're past Captain America Civil War. We're past X-Men Apocalypse. We're past Batman vs. Superman. So a lot's kind of died down. I've talked about all those things. So what I want to talk about today, because of what's kind of relevantly going on right now, is Dragon Ball Super's got a lot of really exciting, cool stuff. And we also got a lot of interesting stuff still happening in the comic book world. So, first thing I'm going to go into. Guess who's here with me? That's right. So, the first thing I'm going to go into is Rebirth is continuing in DC Comics, okay? That's right. My man's back, okay? So, what came out, okay, last week, because they're doing it twice a month. Now, I keep mentioning this because it's not once a month. Rebirth has titles appearing twice a month now. And I posted, and I will again, and continue to post, the full schedule from DC so you don't miss anything. Go out and check it out. Buy it digitally or go to your comic book shop. So this week was issue 957 of Action Comics. Now, again, when everything was rebooted in 2011 for the New 52, we started with number ones. Action Comics was 1 all the way to 50. Now we're back to the original titling of when Action Comics first ended before New 52, which was basically 956. So now we're picking up from there with 957 as a way for Rebirth to continue to make this statement and this effort that it is now connected to the pre-52, pre-Flashpoint universe that existed in DC Comics. And this is what I discussed in one of my previous videos. This is confusing a lot of people. But the best way that I could say it without getting as technically deep and as articulatedly deep as some other, websites have, 52 was a turning point where they wanted to try going in a different direction. And they killed off the multiverse that existed before that. And it was the Flashpoint paradox that was really the key to what changed everything for DC. And then they went in that direction of creating the New 52 and rebooting things and trying things differently, okay? New stories, new universe, had no continuity to the old stuff. And that old continuity stems from when DC kind of rebooted itself in 1986. And what I mean by that is everything that happened, which is Superman that fought Doomsday and died and came back to life, and those kind of pivotal DC moments, that was all part of that continuity from 1982, which was changed, rebooted, and not the same continuity in New 52. So you kind of had a whole new thing going on. Now they have continued that New 52 continuity, but they've bridged it back with the original continuity existing from 1986 all the way to 2011 when they rebooted everything into the New 52. So it's like merging the two and saying, okay, this is the whole multiverse. Now, a lot of the multiverse was changed as a way, because I'm sure that, all of them at DC, as brilliant as they are, as writers said, this is too much to jam in. We've got a lot to deal with, but this is a great idea. So they created the modern convergence, which I have mentioned in my previous video. Please go out and read. It'll help a lot. Where these multiple worlds dissipated, and that's how we get the Superman, who was the Superman from 1986 to 2011, the Superman who died from fighting Doomsday and was brought back to life. That's Superman, which to me is my Superman, because that's what I grew up on. I was reading comics in the 90s and the Death of Superman and all those great stories. That's Superman to me. So that Superman is here now because of the convergence issues, was living among us, but decided to stay in the shadows. Now, to figure that out and understand that, that's why I said in my last video, read Superman, Lois and Clark. That's a running DC series. That helps a lot too, bridges a lot of gaps. He was in the shadows. He said, I don't want to interfere with this Superman. I want him to do his thing, but I'm going to help in the shadows. And I got Lois and I got my son I'm going to raise them under the radar, and I'm not going to get involved with this world's Justice League. Not unless I really have to. And this is what I love about the Rebirth issue #1 as well as Action Comics 957. Because this Superman, okay, I don't want to say the original, but for me, my original Superman, okay, he finally decides to get involved because he sees the world needs a Superman, and Lex has created a superpowered suit, not like he is not notoriously known for creating a superpowered suit, with the S symbol on it, okay? And he's in Metropolis saving the day, and he's like, oh, I worked with the Justice League, and I honor Superman, and he means a lot to me, and I'm going to honor his memory, and I'm going to, in his name, wear his S and protect the citizens of Metropolis. You'll have a Superman in me. And that Superman, remember, he comes from 86 to 2011, all those storylines. Lex Luthor is the evilest evil, okay, in those decades of comic books. So to him, Lex is like the epitome of evil, okay? There is no discrepancy. Not that he's not evil in New 52, I just mean that this guy is coming from the world of, like, this guy is as evil as evil. So he flips out and opens up a drawer with this awesome Superman suit, which is not quite old, but not quite the New 52. It's in the middle. I love the Rebirth suit. I absolutely love it, man. It seems like Man of Steel, but even better, okay? He puts it on. He's like, Lois, I can't take it. Even though we couldn't, prove in the shadows. Because in the shadows, they've kind of been reporting, and Lois has had like a secret name, and she's been writing these novels and giving tips to the police and press to try to arrest people. She's still being Lois, He's like, even though we can't prove that Lex is evil in this world, I know he's evil. Lex in any world universe is evil. And he's like, he can't wear the S, he can't dishonor me or the other Superman, blah, blah, blah. So he puts on the outfit, runs to Metropolis, encounters him, and, like, beats the shit out of him in, like, seconds. Not seconds, but he's like, hey, they barely talk, he just starts hitting him, the two of them hit each other, and, not much happens, but them kind of, fighting each other, and we're kind of left with, until the next issue, of discovering how this fight resolves itself. Now, of course, the world doesn't officially know that Superman's dead. This isn't like the original Death of Superman storyline, where the world immediately knew that he was dead. There's rumors that he's dead. There's also rumors that he's just kind of disappeared, or various things have happened. So, not everybody is sure or knows confidently that he's dead. Lex, of course, is saying he's dead, and he's publicly announcing this. That's why he came out with the super suit. But not everybody. You see Jimmy Olsen, the Jimmy Olsen of that world, Jimmy responds, and he's like, wait, I didn't know Superman was dead. Is he really dead? So you see this kind of, everybody's like, wait a second. So they think it's really Superman. Naturally, Lex knows that the Superman from the New 52 is dead. And is like, who are you? A clone? You're an imposter? What are you? And Superman's like, no, I really am Superman. Blah, blah, blah. He doesn't obviously explain it to the full extent because he's punching the shit out of Lex. But obviously we're going to see in the next issues, in the continuation in Superman, Rebirth, as well as Action Comics as it continues, we'll definitely see what's happening, with the world and the Justice League, and him now replacing New 52 Superman and being the new Superman. Which is exciting. I mean, I was at first going into it like, hey, why is the world not really upset or reacting to the fact that Superman died? It was such an emotional thing when it first happened back in the original, 95, issue. But I see what they did here. First of all, this is a different world that doesn't overly love Superman or overly love the Justice League. And everybody knows that Superman is Superman in this world because his identity was revealed, and there was a lot of confusion and animosity there about, liking him from the beginning, and then they know who he is, and there was a lot of distrust there when they learned who he was due to the whole Vendel Savage story arc that they did, and his attempt to destroy Superman and the whole Justice League. So there's been a lot of not open acceptance. This New 52 hasn't seen an overwhelming love for Superman as we saw, as we're used to always, which is what I think Zack Snyder has employed in the modern Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman film. And that I think was part of some of the criticism that hit that movie, because that's more of a modern concept that DC's been playing with for the last, maybe 4 years now, of a world that isn't so open on, that you have select people that know he's a hero, but you have a lot of confusion and a lot of mixed feelings. But obviously this Superman is not from that world, but so I'm curious to see how that plays out. And what I'm trying to say is, when I went into it, I realized, I said to myself, well, I kind of get why people aren't running to this big funeral. They're not as emotional about his death as they were in the original Death of Superman, because this 52 world didn't feel the same way. But now I even get it more, because now people don't even know. It was a lot of, hey, is he really dead? I'm confused. We don't really know. So I get it. A lot of people don't even know what's going on. But if you read the rest of the, new number ones, Green Lantern, Flash Rebirth, Wonder Woman Rebirth, Green Arrow Rebirth, and Batman Rebirth, even the Detective Comics, which also continued from the original Detective Comics numbering. I don't know. There's not a lot of emotion behind Superman, being gone. I mean, the Flash's issue is mostly about playing catch up to what happened in Rebirth. In the DC Rebirth issue, we see Wally running through the Speed Force, realizing that something's wrong, that people don't remember what happened because of the Flashpoint paradox, and that some type of entity that apparently is super powerful is eliminating memories and parts of their lives and changing things. And he's running through the Flashpoint to try to get to the Justice League members. Batman, he first encounters Batman and tries to tell him, and then he finally gets to Wally at the end. He finally gets to Barry. Wally finally gets to Barry, and Barry pulls him out and saves him before he dies. And then Barry, by doing that, it sparks Barry's memory, and Barry remembers. Now in the Flash, first issue here of Rebirth, we kind of see the beforehand events, and then the issue the tail end of it is what we saw in the DC Universe Rebirth issue, which is Barry pulling him out of the Speed Force, Wally out, and then now we see the aftermath of that conversation, which is, hey, I remember, and how could I forget you, and something evil's out there, something's doing this, and we need to figure it out. So naturally, Barry runs to Batman, who he tells him his encounter was actually Wally, makes him understand, and we still see the question button from Watchmen. I don't know what that's about, but that's part of it. Batman says, I originally thought it was something from the Joker, but then after bioscanning it, it's from another world. Clearly we know that because it's the Watchmen, okay? It's that symbol, the comedian symbol from the Watchmen symbol. I don't know how that plays in, but that's interesting. So they decide, hey, we're two of the best detectives. I'm Barry, I'm CSI, and you're Batman, and we work great together, blah, blah, blah. Let's figure this out. So we see this camaraderie, and we see them acknowledge that they're going to try to investigate together before they get anyone else involved what the hell is going on. What happened with their memories, what happened with Wally running in the Speed Force, what happened with this whole Flashpoint paradox thing, like what really is going on. I think it's great. I think it's alluding to something wild that has brought the multiverse back, has created this rebirth, but there's a bigger batter out there and something's going on. I'm excited about that. I just don't get why there should have been some sprinkled reactions to Superman's death. I would have liked to seen that from the other Justice Leaguers in their issues. Just personal preference. I didn't like that, but I'm excited to see the two of them investigating this. There was no real talk on the other information that Batman learned from the Morbius chair, that there's 3 Jokers. We're still kind of hanging out with that idea. I'm interested to see where that plays out, but I'm excited to see that they explained a little more, in that now Barry and Batman are working together to investigate the, this whole thing that's going on with Wally and with what happened. So that's going to be interesting to see that develop. Wonder Woman was pretty kind of standard. she uncovered, again, she was like madly in love with Superman, and this was a very crazy, dramatic romance, and I didn't see any mourning or any conversations about missing Superman whatsoever in her number 1 issue. That was a little weird to me. I'm not saying Superman's got to be involved in everybody's issues, don't misunderstand me. I'm just saying the guy died, and this was his, this was his girlfriend, a little weird. But putting aside the fact that they didn't show any emotion or remorse or any, any healing or any type of, just mourning that Wonder Woman was going through, they just breezed over it. She, towards the end of her issue, there's a lot of like flashbacks in her number 1 issue of Themyscira and her training with the Amazons, and like how she became Wonder Woman, how she accepted her destiny. So that was interesting, but in all honesty, we all know the story. I'm not sure I really needed flashback panels. How many times we're going to see Wonder Woman's story and origin, whatever. The real thing you need to know about the issue, and why I suggest checking it out, is that she goes to Olympus. For anyone that doesn't know, in New 52, she actually became the god of war. Yeah. So she's always been a demigod, a daughter of Zeus. But she actually took over and took the power and assumed the responsibility of the god of war. Ares. Beat Ares, took his place. And that was something they were doing in New 52. And that was kind of cool, badass. Upgraded her from demigod to like, yo, I'm the god of war right now. That was, cool. She didn't really do much with the Olympians in 52 after assuming that responsibility, but she was more powerful, and when she was involved in combat or war situations, it fueled her, energized her. There was some benefits, if you will. So now she's a god. So she called on, teleporting herself to the gods. She can do that because she's a god, to see the other gods. And she encounters a Minotaur-type defensive mystical system, if you will, and she determines that you're not the actual gods, and something's not right here, and what's going on, and we're kind of left with the mystery of what is happening in Olympus, and I guess that's where we're going with Wonder Woman. Does it tie into everything else that's going on in Rebirth with, I don't know. They certainly didn't make a correlation in it now, but it's probably safe to bet that there's a lot of correlations in a lot of what's going on with the different, comic books. In Green Arrow's Rebirth, he hooks back up with Black Canary. Now, this was something that was kind of openly disliked about the New 52 Green Arrow, was that he wasn't actually with Black Canary. And for anybody that knows Green Arrow's history, in the comic books, he hooks up with her and he actually marries her. Actually, him and her's romance is one of the well-known, superhero type of marriages and romances. And that wasn't happening in New 52. They also changed his look. So now in the Rebirth, he grows a beard, and then he meets Black Canary again. And sorry, look at this, Nat. And he shaves it. He's got the famous goatee now, and they team up, and they kind of flirt with each other, and they kiss at the end. So now, obviously, the romance that was upsetting people, that was missing from the New 52 redo of Green Arrow, is back, and it looks like they're going to be together. His issue was pretty cool, pretty standard. But that's the biggest reveal of that, is that they're back together. As far as what's going on in Marvel, Civil War right now, I mentioned this in my other video, Civil War 2 is really the big thing. And what's happening there, I mentioned in my last video. But to recap, it's involving the Inhumans. And a new Inhuman who was created has the ability to see visions of the future, and is warning the Inhumans as well as the Avengers and the Ultimates, which is Captain Marvel's team, about these things. And Tony Stark feels very uneasy about someone who can predict the future and them acting before something hasn't happened. And I mentioned in my last video that's very similar to what Captain America says in the Winter Soldier film. So a lot of things happen, and unfortunately, due to an event that he saw that involves Thanos, that Captain Marvel and her Ultimate Team tried to stop, War Machine, Rhodes, and She-Hulk die and are killed. Marvel killed 2 big heavy hitters in the Civil War II comic. And for now they're dead. And that sends Tony Stark, who is not okay with this guy from the beginning being able to see the future and acting on it, spiraling. And the comic ends with him going after this Inhuman. And then we see a kind of earlier part of the Civil War II story in the Amazing Spider-Man's newest issue of Civil War II. Okay, Amazing Spider-Man 1 Civil War II, which is a great read, where Spider-Man is still, in Asia with Parker Industries, but he agrees to work on training this Inhuman, the one that could see the future, tests his power out, and tries to train him and give him some wisdom. Johnny Storm is a liaison, if you will, to the Inhumans helping, and sets this up, and Peter Parker takes him, and Parker even wants him to work at Parker Industries to use his power to, reach out to technology and things and see if it's worth time and investment, if it could really help people. So he's kind of, I don't know if that's really morally right, but it seems like he thinks it is, because there's an agenda of what we're doing here is trying to save the world, and we don't want to waste our time by innovating and creating things that won't help the world and fail. So if you can use your power to tell me what will and won't work, then we'll be able to save time and save more lives. I think that's still immoral, okay, from a corporate aspect, but Peter seems to be digging the guy and trying to help him. Now this is a kind of prequel to what we see in Civil War number 2, number 1, because that's all before the events of what happens when he predicts the Thanos issue that the Ultimates run into, and War Machine and She-Hulk die. So it's interesting to see kind of some of the beforehand in Amazing Spider-Man number 1, Civil War 2. And then what happens at the end is that Norman Osborn, he's running this kind of innovative side, and the Inhuman tells him, that guy we met, I had a vision where he fights you in a big fight with like a super suit, and Peter's like, oh man, it's Norman, you've come so long, why would you go back to the Green Goblin? But it's not Norman. That's more of the joke thing. I'm just bomb. I guess that's more of the suspense thing. I don't want to ruin who it is, so I want you to go and read it. But it is an interesting little reveal, and I'm excited to see the next Amazing Spider-Man issue that is in the Civil War II storyline. As I am excited to read next month Civil War II, the second issue, to see what happens with Iron Man. So collect all the different issues. I posted up the Civil War reading order on the page. It's very hefty. You've got a lot to read because they're doing beforehand stuff, afterhand stuff, a lot of stuff. But if you're interested to digitally, buy them, or buy them in the comic stand and read the whole event before it gets turned into a graphic novel when this is all over, because that's what will happen, then you can follow the reading order online. Or always you can listen to my stellar personality and my stellar videos and my reviews and my very short synopsises that I try hard about what's going on in these things each Tuesday. So, moving on to Dragonball Super, okay, because that wraps up Marvel and DC Comics right now. Oh, by the way, you know what I checked out, and I highly support it? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, man. That was an excellent movie. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Stephen Amell because of because of Arrow. He was fantastic as Casey Jones in it. I didn't care too much for the first one, but this felt like the Turtles. Go see it. And there's a great IDW and DC Comics team up that was published less than a year ago, where Batman and the Turtles cross over and they come to the New 52 universe. It's crazy. And Shredder comes and he teams up with Ra's al Ghul, and it's all going down in Gotham, and Damian's in it, obviously, you know, as Robin, and it is really kick-ass. It's a cool little comic series to check out. I would read it. If you're a Turtle fan and you're looking for more Turtle action after seeing the new movie, which I would read that, because that's a cool team-up. And there's a lot of rumors that it's going to happen again because it did so well, and for some reason the Turtles and Batman just work together. Anyway, so last thing I'm going to talk about is Dragon Ball Super, okay? We have left the tournament arc, and now we have moved on to a very exciting arc, in my opinion, which is we have brought back Future Trunks. I never thought we'd bring back Future Trunks. And myself included, and many friends I have always said from the day that Future Trunks was introduced to the moment he went back at the end of the Cell Saga that they want him back. Younger Trunks never really filled his shoes in the Buu Saga. Okay, with him with Gotenks and Fusion and everything that's going on with them as Gotenks. And, you know, I mean, for me, I don't like them. And I think it's been a touch and go for a lot of fans liking younger Trunks compared to Future Trunks. And I'm excited to see that Future Trunks is back. And if you don't know what's going on in Dragon Ball Super, okay, the episode that happened last week started this new Trunks arc, which is in the future. Okay, now if you don't remember, let's go back to the end of the Cell Saga. Trunks powered up. Some call it Ultimate Super Saiyan. I don't call it anything. I just call it they trained and they became really powerful in Super Saiyan, but not to the point of ascending to Super Saiyan 2. It's just Super Saiyan 1, just with a lot of training that made you stronger. But a lot of people call it Ascended Super Saiyan, Ultimate Super Saiyan. I don't, but whatever. He became pumped up Super Saiyan 1, goes back to the future, and now he kills Android 17 and 18 very easily. And then he finds and waits for Cell and kills Cell, okay? Eliminating any level of threat that his future, his version of his world could ever have. So we're kind of left with the belief that he's going to rebuild, right? You know, he's going to kind of rebuild the world with his mom, with Bulma, and survivors of that world, and they'll finally have peace. Now, a lot of people I know have written fan fictions, and I've read this on a lot of blogs, and there's been a lot of speculations over the years that, hey, would Babidi surface in his universe like he did in DBZ, and would he resurrect Buu? And if so, what would Trunks do without the other Z fighters? Would he ascend to Super Saiyan 2 or even 3 and be able to beat him, or would Buu rule that universe? Well, it seems like you got your answer, because in Super, there is a new villain that is terrorizing Trunks' universe. When you see this episode, it is very, very reminiscent of everything that we saw way back in the original History of Trunks story, the OVA TV special, of the world plagued and literally destroyed by the androids, an apocalyptic world, okay, being terrorized. And we get a very similar image, and I'm sure Akira did that on purpose to try to bring back that, you know, reminiscent feeling, you know, of, you know, that original Trunks saga that everyone loved. Here we are getting similar imagery of the destroyed apocalyptic world, Trunks running through it, the fear, you know, it's all back, you know what I mean? Bulma working in a dingy laboratory on trying to get him back in time. I mean, you know, the Capsule Corp jacket, the outfit, all of it was reminiscent of that, the feelings, the emotions, everything. Obviously done on purpose, and personally, I absolutely loved it. It brought me back to the days of Dragon Ball Z that I loved. Putting it out there, my favorite saga ever is right from that moment that Trunks comes through the androids and Cell. That's the best for me. That's DBZ. Oop, lost my little light here. That is DBZ as far as I'm concerned at its best, okay? Looks like I'm not going to be able to get my light back here. I don't know what happened. Okay, my apologies. So, that's DBZ at its best, as far as I'm concerned. So, seeing that brought back a lot of great feelings for me where I'm like, wow, this is awesome, man. Trunks is back, future Trunks is back, the world is destroyed. By the way, I have no idea how this guy saves the whole world and all of a sudden it goes right back to where it was. Man, that's gotta really suck. You know what I mean? He came to the past, trained, learned everything, went back, super powerful, kicked everybody's ass, saves his world. Now it's shit again. That sucks, dude. That sucks. Anyway, my point is, the answer to people's questions is, it's not Boo, it's not Bobbity, they never came, okay? It seems like that never happened. There's a new villain, and it's called Black Goku. And I don't mean the color of his skin is black. I mean, like, his hair is red here, his hair is black, base form, and he's in a black outfit, a black gi. He looks pretty badass, and he's wearing a green earring. I don't know what that's about. Some people online have speculated, and you can see images, that the green earring that he's wearing is the same earring that Chi-Chi has always been animated with. So now if it's Chi-Chi's earring, some people believe that this could be Goten, older, and either he went bad somehow, or some entity, maybe a god, an evil god, because everything that's been going on in Dragon Ball Super has been god-orientated. So I think it's pretty fair to believe that this potentially could be a god. We could still be within the god level, okay? Because that's what Dragon Ball Super is about. You know, remember, Goku and Vegeta are at god level now, and they're hanging out and best friends with gods, Whis and Beerus. So for a villain, as a good friend of mine pointed out, who's a DBZ fan, a Dragon Ball fan, that it's hard to create any villains that provide any real level of danger or challenge to them, because they're god level and they're friends with a god. So it leads me to believe that this Black Goku, whether he is maybe Goten because of the earring, okay, maybe that does have to do with Chi-Chi, or maybe it's a Goku from another universe, maybe this is another multiverse. So we have the normal Dragon Ball Super, then we have Trunks' world, then maybe we have a third world where this Goku comes from, a third universe, I should say. But whether it's a Goku from a third universe, Goku resurrected from the second universe and gone evil, or Goten, it appears that that earring means something, and it appears that I think it's some type of god entity that is inhabiting his body, because, again, what could be a challenge for them? And this seems like a very big villain. It seems like for the first time in Super, because I don't acknowledge Golden Frieza as that big of a villain, okay? It seemed like as soon as Goku and Vegeta got there, they knew they were going to be able to kick his ass, even when he went golden, okay? But this seems like the first time Super's really identifying a real villain. Beerus was never really a real villain, okay? So this seems like the first time they're like giving us like a Cell or a Boo level villain. You know, that android or Cell level like villain, okay? And with that said, it leads me to believe that he's got to be of the god level in order to be that type of villain and challenge them. Or else, how? They'll just beat it up like they did Golden Frieza and whatnot because they're so powerful. But I don't feel that here. I feel the direction of the writing is more than that, different than that. So let's see what happens. But you need to really tune in and check it out. Future Trunks is back. We have this new Black Goku. I speculate either one or two. My opinion, I could be totally wrong. We'll see. We'll know. But I'm putting it out there. I think it's Goten. I think that is Chi-Chi's earring. And I think that his body was inhabited by some type of god entity that is evil, with god power, that has superpowered Goten and turned him into... Yeah, what? Okay. See that? That's what happens when I do this. Yeah. Anyway, I think it's a god evil entity that has inhabited Goten, superpowered him, and turned him into this Black Goku, this Black, as they call it. And I'm excited to see them go against him. But that's my theory. So keep watching Dragon Ball Super and let's see what happens. And that's pretty much it for this week. We have coming up Batman the Killing Joke, which is now going to be in theaters. Check out Phantom Events to see if it's in any theaters by you. So we have that and Suicide Squad coming in August. I'm going to have a video not with just me, but our Tuesday video after those two movies hit will also be with our other co-hosts that you've seen before, Ashley Vanderhorn and Adam Piacente, as well as Cameron Taddeo. They'll be in it. And we're going to have a whole conversation about everything that's transpired, including those 2 movies, because that's really the end until the big push in the winter. But I want to have a nice roundtable conversation about that. On the page is our detailed review of X-Men Apocalypse. If you haven't seen it and you want to read my review to see if it's worth it to watch. I'm not going to write a big detailed review on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. What is wrong with me, guys? 2. I suggest you just go see it. It was worth the watch. And check out Dragon Ball Super. I want you to watch this arc. You now know my theory. Let's see if my theory pans out. Goten with the earring could be evil, could be run by an evil god. So let's see if that theory pans out. You have all my reviews of DC Rebirth, as well as Marvel's Civil War 2, and what's going on with that, and Amazing Spider-Man. So all of the reading orders for DC Rebirth, as well as Marvel's Civil War 2, are up on the page. Review the reading orders on the page if you're looking for how to stay on release dates and reading order. I invite all of you to go out there and buy it. It's excellent right now. I love what's going on in both of them. And that's it, guys. This is Critics Corner. Another week, another show down. I hope you enjoyed the reviews. I hope it gave you some insight into everything, gave you my opinion, also educated you a little, gave you insight. And keep checking the page. We have constant news updates and everything. We have all the news updates on the Spider-Man Homecoming cast, all the new updates. We have the new announcements from E3, which included all the new Star Wars announcements on the video games. We have the new Spider-Man video game announcement posted and trailers. So just stay on the page. We've got everything. And if you have any questions about any of the comic books and confused about anything, check out the videos or comment below. Okay, Critics Corner. See you next Tuesday. We got a lot of comics to discuss by next Tuesday and another new Dragon Ball Super. So we've got a lot to talk about next Tuesday. Peace.